not a lot of bad things to say about the Arkansas Razorbacks as they fall in absolutely heartbreaking fashion to the Baylor Bears by score 67-64. This is Arkansas basketball recap. I'm Dana Price. That's Jacob Price. I'm sure he'll find something critical to say about this performance. But if by the way, if you didn't watch the game, you're like, oh, they lost by 3. Like that'll happen. But it was, dude, there was a moment at the end where you thought this might go into overtime. It was imagine a scenario where Arkansas is down 3. They're at the free throw line. Devo Davis misses on purpose, maybe to I think what happened was,
I don't think he missed that first one on purpose.
well, I it seemed maybe he did, maybe he didn't. He was gonna miss something on purpose. Is there a chance that you like, because I heard Musselman say that's a set play. That's
Hmm.
why Kamani Johnson went in the game. And what it is it's a play where you do something to try to get your hand on the ball and you throw the ball to the corner. This is why Pinion was in the corner. The play worked perfectly. Like they got their hand on the ball, you chuck it to the corner and you're not trying to rebound it. You're just like, and you just slap it to the corner. It's called dart or something like that. I can't remember what he said it was called. And dude, it worked. And Pinion was in that corner. Now, Pinion gets a wide open look. Now, it's a tough look because you're having to pick the ball up off the ground basically because the guy's just chucking it in that direction. And there's not very much time left. And he's got to gather it, shoot it. And he's coming off the bench, hasn't played at all, really. Like he was in for a couple minutes in the first half, hasn't shot a single shot the whole game. I guess you could I guess if you asked me in that situation, game tying, Pinion or Council, or I don't know, Pinion who shot no shots, or Council who has 25 points and has been playing the whole game. I don't know. I'll probably take Pinion, I guess, like shooting that shot. But that was
I'd be
brutal.
surprised. I'd be surprised if he was supposed to miss the front end of that just to.
I probably not. Only thing I could think of is that like that would be more surprise. Maybe it helps you.
Yeah, it's
Um,
just that I mean it's hard to imagine that you would to try to benefit from the
I mean, you might as well you might as well win the game with the 3 if you're gonna. You might as well make it and try to win, right?
well, it's not just that, it's a so you gain the slight element of surprise of missing the first one, but it's so much more beneficial to only be down 2 because, like I said, you don't know how when you're purposely missing a shot, you have no idea how it's going to come off of there and whether or not you're going to be able to hit it in any direction. That was a particularly, good. The way it came off the rim was high and kind of straight, so it gave us a good look at knocking it over there. But you can imagine if you're down by 2, especially with 2 seconds left, like you want to be down by 2 because then if something doesn't go right and you hit it and someone touches it, if you happen to somebody pick it up inside the 3-point line, you still have a
Yeah.
chance to tie it.
What if you throw it out to the corner, but it's not quite to the 3-point line? What if you get to the 3-point line and you miss, and you get to go quals on this whole thing, and someone gets a tomahawk dunk the rebound back through? Yeah,
Well, that's
for
what I'm
sure.
saying, and I would say that's, and like I said, because it's so impossible to gauge a missed shot. The percentage chance that you're going to get a shot ball that you can hit to the corner versus one maybe that you can tip in, or at least, like I said, what Council shooting his mid range, like grabs it in the mid range. You want him to be able to put it back from
Yeah.
there. And honestly, if it was a 2-point game at that point, Pinion doesn't have to scrape that ball off the floor and then try to not travel as he sort of falls backwards.
Mm-hmm.
Like he could have picked it up right there
Yeah.
and just tried to shoot the 17
It's a
footer.
tough.
And
And Musselman said it. He said that shot from Pinion. He said that he's like, at first he said we drew it up, it worked perfectly. Like Pinion runs, that's the corner that the ball is supposed to get thrown, like just get slapped to, and everything worked. And but it's a great play. I mean, I've never seen anyone do that before. It's a great play. Um, but he did say also, he said it's a big ask to ask a guy to come off the bench who hasn't shot a shot all game in a situation like that. And that it's not a pass. It's just the ball is just over there, and you gotta You have no time, and you got to scoop it up, square it up, and it's a real tough shot.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bummer that it completely airballed, but yeah, I mean, I think like you said it before, but I think that this is probably the hardest loss so far this season. I mean, the
Yeah,
Auburn loss was a bummer, but
maybe just felt like
this,
this one felt like going down the stretch. Not the very end. Very end, actually, I was really impressed with the guys that came back. Like it looked like Baylor was going to pull it away, but the end of the first half, you were like, "Oh man!" At halftime, you just felt like I didn't feel like I didn't necessarily think we were going to win, but dude, I was terrified that we were going to get that there's a chance that there's a version of this game where we just get blown out or we lose just soundly. And that was not the case. I mean, like, man, we came out and we fought. If you're talking about Baylor at Baylor, we haven't won a road game all year, not a true road game. I thought, like, oh man, I just don't know. And you could tell Anthony Black is beat up. I don't love that, but you could tell he
mhm.
is. And man, this it was weird because Musselman in the press conference too, he was not upset. Like he said, I asked that like my guys come out there and play hard, and if they play as hard as they can, um, then I'm pretty happy. And he felt like that happened, and I think that did happen. Those guys played hard.
Yeah, well, and it's hard for Musselman to probably be too upset because, I mean, a big point in that game was that 5 point play that, I mean, even though, I mean, I know that we overcame that and got, we still got a 10 point lead after that. That technical foul gave them 2 points that they shouldn't have had. That really was unnecessary. And I get that Musselman was upset about that, but and sometimes there can be
I
strategic.
got my dog. Hold on here. Get in here. There. Okay.
Is that
Continue.
biscuit or the
Both of them. They're just not going to
no?
stay out there and whining.
Um, but yeah, I mean, not that, I mean, it wasn't the total differential because the differential was three, but
Mm-hmm.
if that's a 1 point game in the last couple of minutes versus a
Yeah.
3 point game or a 4 point game, which, those 2 points were
I wonder.
loomed
I wonder what he
very
said.
large in the last couple of minutes of that game.
Yeah, I wonder what he said. I mean, I understand. I mean, even the announcers understood. I understand why he was upset about that.
I do too.
We did not get a lot of we didn't get a lot of great calls in this game. I don't think the refereeing was terrible, but dude, like I mean, especially the going into like, the second half, and you're in the bonus and within 5 minutes, felt
It
like
was,
come
mhm.
on, like this is gonna be difficult, man. Like this really, really hurts.
Yeah,
And
and I'm not saying those weren't like those fouls on Walsh weren't fouls, but they're the kind of fouls like everybody always says where it's like you could call pass interference on every play technically.
and you
And
didn't you didn't feel like they were calling that down the other end of the court because some of those calls are like, of course that's happening down the other. That's happening all the time.
it felt a little bit like the Shaq or LeBron dynamic where it's like uh they were able to be more physical with us because they were all the way across the board smaller than us at every
Mm-hmm.
position. So those quick guards were able to hand check and push, Anthony Black and those guys a little bit. But if they did it, and to be fair, I mean, they are bigger and stronger and like those guys are smaller, but
Yeah.
it did make it put it at a little disadvantage because I mean we're trying to stay in front of guys that are their advantage is speed and our advantage is height, and then they're calling us for little like hand check touchy things, and they're not calling it on the other end just because they're not affecting our guys just because they're bigger. And yeah, it definitely felt lopsided. Like I said, I didn't feel like it was like
It
necessarily an
wasn't egregious or anything, but it was there was some tic tac stuff that you were. I mean that Walsh's fifth foul was kind of a like, that was kind of absurd.
and I actually the two worst calls to me in the whole game were I mean in because I don't like when they show the replay and it's like in real time. I'm like, oh yeah, that was probably a block. And then afterwards, in very slow motion, it's like So chunk. Oh no, he's set for a hundredth of a second in slow motion. But I always like when it's in real time. I looked at it and went, dude, he was totally set.
Yeah.
And then they play it in slow motion, and you're just like, he was definitely set. So I'm like, when I see it in real time, and I'm like, what are you guys looking at?
Mm-hmm.
Like he's outside the circle, his feet are set before the guy leaves
He's
the ground.
complete. His hands are straight up. He doesn't leave his feet.
The only thing he did, and this is what drives one thing that just drives me crazy about people is you don't have to fall down to get a charge. And I feel like everybody thinks that you have to fall down.
Yeah.
And I actually think, and the thing is, you can get a charge by being straight up, and the guy runs into you, and you take one step back, like you just kind of step back. That can be a charge.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you think you need to encourage the referees, but I'm telling you,
Especially if you're a bigger guy, you feel like you have to sell it.
see, I disagree though. I do not think that's true. I think
Yeah.
if you're a bigger guy, stillness is what's going to convince the ref. If
Yeah.
you are a statue and that guy just runs into you, they're not going to call a block on you.
Yeah.
They're going to
So
call a block on you if you're moving.
if they wouldn't have called a charge there and they would have just like swallowed the whistle, it
It would
wouldn't
have
have
been okay.
it wouldn't
Yeah,
have
it would have been
bothered me. Like, but the fact like that's a charge or a nothing.
well. And like I said, the reason that I'm telling you, the reason they called that a charge in live time, even though it obviously wasn't in slow motion, but is because he anticipated the contact and he
Mm-hmm.
was falling before the guy hit him. So he was in motion, not in an illegal motion, but he was because he wasn't moving side to side, but he was moving back as the guy landed on him, and he was anticipating falling down. It's like, dude, be strong, stand in there, be an absolute statue. They won't call it if you are still.
Yeah,
They'll they,
that was a bummer call for Mackay, and then that loose ball foul on Mackay where he fouled out was a bummer of a call too. Because by the way, that's a lot of hustle for a big guy like that.
yeah. The other call that I didn't like is I feel like it's just like refs. I don't like when refs don't understand the game, or at least I feel like they don't understand the game any better than I do. Because I'm like, you guys, one thing we talk about a lot is I actually do like sometimes when there's contact that doesn't affect the game. So
Mm-hmm.
like contact a lot of times like away from the ball, or contact where two guys just run into each other, or even contact where like somebody's kind of like not paying attention and
Yeah,
the guy that's handling the ball bumps into them, and it's like it didn't affect, like it's at half court. You know what I mean? A lot of times I'm like, I like when they're just like, it's basketball. Sometimes guys touch each other, and if it doesn't affect anything, like no wooden shooting, just let it go. But I do not understand how it can be like incidental contact to me is like when two guys aren't paying attention and they run into each other. It's like, well, it's nobody's fault. If Anthony Black back cuts his guy and his guy doesn't gets off his back foot and is like chasing him, and then he goes around the rim and dunks it, and his defender's momentum trying to stop that because he just got back cut carries him into him after he dunks it,
mm-hmm.
and they land, and he basically tackles him as they land. That is not incidental contact.
Yeah,
That is a defender being out of position, getting back cut, getting at a disadvantage, and trying to make up for it. And his momentum causes him to completely tackle the guy on the ground. I don't care that it's after the shot. There can be fouls after shots. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
There's
It's
all the
like,
time. No, that's when he lands on Anthony Black. That's a foul.
and they just looked at it and went, "Well, he wasn't. He'd already made the shot, so I guess, just incidental contact." It's like the contact was not incidental. The contact was because he was chasing the guy that
Yeah,
just back cut him. You know what I mean? It
yeah.
wasn't like he was. It wasn't like he was standing there or going for a rebound. You know what I mean? Like
Sick pass. By the way.
if Anthony Black had, if that guy was like guarding somebody and earned and Anthony Black dunked it and then like landed on him, it's like, okay, that's incidental contact. He was just in a defensive position or he was trying to get a rebound. That guy that landed on Anthony Black was trying to defend him
Yeah,
and
yeah,
couldn't appropriately land without fouling because he was chasing. It's like, that's a foul. That's the definition of a foul is you get out of position and you can't defend without contact.
yeah.
That actually, even though I mean, it's not like the biggest thing in the. It only would have been. I don't even know if it would have been free throws because it was literally way after the shot. So it probably would have just been, I don't
Yeah,
know, a
yeah,
foul on the guy. But it just made me
unless
mad
they were in
because
the
I.
bonus. Yeah,
It just made me mad because I was like, that's clearly a foul.
yeah.
Unless I'm crazy. I don't know.
And you just felt like they were calling stuff that, I mean, you compare that to like Jordan Walsh's. fourth and fifth foul, and you're like, dude, like, come on.
Like I said, that was the guy that was defending him. I don't understand how the guy that's defending you can tackle you after you make the shot and it's not
Anthony Black
a
was on the
foul.
floor a lot this game, man. There's no doubt. I mean, I was worried about him. Could you tell that
That's
he was
I don't
pretty
know about
dinged up?
I don't know about your recording or whatever, but like when I was watching the game, I missed the first 3.5 minutes and Anthony
Yeah,
Black was out. So apparently he like banged a knees with somebody
yeah.
beforehand. And yeah, that's annoying when the
You
game's
start the
still
game
over.
3 minutes in, you don't know what happened yet. But he just he was just on the floor a lot. Like he was playing hard. I mean, he had that awesome spin around rebound where he got it and got an and one, but still just ended up just getting just obliterated. They had that play, and I could just tell when he would end up on the floor, you could tell that every time he had to get up off the floor, he wasn't popping up. He was like, I'm hurting here. Like
Hmm.
and Musselman said after the game that he was like, man, the guys played really hard. And he said Anthony Black is not 100% right now. He is really dinged up, and he looked like you didn't see it from an effort standpoint, but I feel like you could just see it in his body that you're like, this guy is dinged up.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's part of the reason the game kind of hurt so bad is you did feel like, okay, we took care of business. We won our 2 games at home against sort of inferior competition. We need a season sort of hope. When we talked about this last week, but we need a hope injecting win where you're like, okay, a lot of these close games have been just that, close
Yeah,
games. You're not a bad team. You're starting to figure it out. And this could be the kind of game that propels you and gives you the belief in your team that like, okay, we can do this. We just had a rough start to the season. We've had some bad luck. We've had some unfortunate injuries, but we are good and we can. It just felt like, and also like like this can show Anthony Black, I mean not Anthony Black, um, Smith, that you can think about, like coming back and maybe having that hero scenario. And I'm not saying he won't, but I'm just saying like it's another,
yeah,
I mean, like I said, we're still on the bubble, dude. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I mean, this is I didn't when I look through the schedule and I'm like, what are the games you got to win? In my mind, you obviously have to get to 20 wins, and you need to get to 500. You got to get to 500 in conference. That's what you got to do.
mhm.
Um, I didn't have this as one of the ones. Excuse me. I didn't have this as one of the ones you have to get. You know, this would have been like really set you on a great trajectory to get there, right? But if I'm going through it, like where are the wins and losses, I didn't have this one down as one of the wins. So, uh, and there is a way for them to do it. I can go through the way for them to do it if you want, if people are interested in that sort of thing. But
I think
this
they are.
was,
Go ahead.
but it wasn't like it wasn't. It was devastating because like you could have got it and it would have been huge. I mean that would have you would have been it would put you just ahead of the game of about what you have to do. Let's see here. By the way, the SEC performed oddly in the SEC Big 12 uh, challenge. It was a weird thing with Alabama losing and
Well, and it wasn't just losing;
just
they
getting
lost pretty.
killed.
They get lost handily.
Okay, so right now you have a 14-7 Arkansas team. So you got to find 6 wins somewhere.
And by the way, like that's at least because
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying there's not a version where a bunch of teams have, over the next few games and it's laid out in a way where a 19 win team
Yeah.
with a sub like could get into the SEC or get in,
You win some
especially,
games. You win some games in the tournament, in the SEC tournament,
yeah,
or
something. There's a version, but I'm saying even with 20, what you're saying is like there's also a version where some small conference guy wins their tournament that's not supposed to, and then that they have to take 2 teams from there. Like you're still like in the place where you don't want to be, where it's not a sure thing. You
here's
know
what
what I
this
mean?
is why there's 10 games left. I think Arkansas needs to go 6-4. They need to, which will put them at 20-11. Um, they probably get in at that, so they'd be 20-11, and they would be 500. At 9-9 in conference play. So you got 10 games. I think you got to win 6 of them. Our next game Tuesday at home against Texas A&M, have to win. You got to win that game. And Texas A&M is playing good right now. You got to win that game. At South Carolina, you have to win that game. At Kentucky, I'll say you lose that one. Mississippi State at home, you got to win that one. At Texas A&M, I'll let you split with Texas A&M. So right now you're
you got 3.
Yeah, right now you got 3. Home against Florida, you got to win. Home against Georgia, got to win. At Alabama, at Tennessee. Don't know if you're getting those, which means you have to win at home against Kentucky.
I mean, that's a tough road, dude.
It's tough, but you can't. What it is you can't lose at home in this stretch, because you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You need 6 wins. You got 5 home games. You have to win all 5 of them, and then if you win all 5 of your home games, you just gotta beat South Carolina on the road, which you should be able to do. But it's tough because you're gonna have to beat Kentucky at home or steal another road win.
Right? Steal one from A&M or Tennessee. That looks pretty freaking unstoppable.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine beating Tennessee at their place.
Yeah. So you need to go 6-4, and it's not going to be easy.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and we really are in the position now where it's like, dude, if we lose one of those games, it's not like it's over. Like you never know. I mean, you can win a game you could upset somebody on the road or something.
Or you could just go on a run in the tournament, and you could end up playing in the SEC championship, and that probably really helps you or something.
Yeah, but if we lose another game, it's like I'm saying, one of those games that you're talking about. If we lose a home game, you're on. I mean, you're literally like, oh, well, now we're in the position where it's like we are not going to make the tournament unless something happens. Like you're in the just hoping for it stage. Yeah, I don't know.
I'll tell you, just getting into it, going back to this Baylor game. It was nice to see Ricky Council just show up and to kind of take some stuff over. I mean, he looked really good. I mean, he was unguardable for a little while.
Yeah.
So Council ends up with 25 points. I think he was the player of the game, no doubt. He had a stretch there where he just took it. He just said, "Give me the ball and get out of the way."
It was a tough one because nobody really did really well in the second half. It was a little bit of a slog offensively in the second half. They basically almost won that game on defense in the second half, but so it's a little bit hard to say because I actually felt like even though Council did great and kept them in that, Devo was super pivotal as far as leadership. I mean, he was really talking out there and running the offense.
16 points and 4 assists. I mean,
his 3-point shooting is like off the charts right in the last 4 games. I don't know what his percentage is, but he's missed like 1 out of the last 7 shots he's taken.
Yeah, I mean, he was 2 of 7 in this game, but he had to force a couple with the shot clock winding down and stuff. But
those weren't all threes, though, right? You don't mean from 3-point line?
Yeah, from 3-point line, he was 2 of 7.
He shot 7 threes.
Yeah, but he shot like 3 of them where he didn't have any choice.
Oh, dang, I didn't realize he shot that many threes.
It's almost like I don't think you count them in your head because like you're just like
he's chucking them up there at the end
2,
of the time.
1, like just launch it. Like, but right now,
I guess it's the shots that when you're like, oh, that's a good shot. They've been going in,
dude. Just in the course of the offense, and the ball just goes to him, and he's open and set. He's knocking that down lately,
which is amazing.
Yeah.
But then, honestly, I thought somebody that was invaluable, not so much. I mean, he wasn't as effective in the second half, but nobody was. But Graham's injection into that game is what turned the offense around. Even for Council, like it gave Council more room to work around in there. And dude, on that little run where we got up by 10, it was actually partially his defense. He got his hand on a bunch of balls, and either they turned into steals or he directly stole it. He had a couple of good passes. Like he really seemed to inject some. It seemed like they didn't know what to do when he went in there, and they were that long. You know what
Dude,
I mean?
here's the game. This is the game. Baylor shoots 21 of 24 from the free throw line. It's 87.5%. They made 21 of 24 free throws. Arkansas shoots 6 of 11 for 54.5%. Now, there's two things that you could take away from that. One, that's a lot more free throws that Baylor shot when Arkansas is a get downhill physical team. It's one thing if you don't shoot a lot of free throws because you're a team that just like is all finesse and just shoots, 33s. Arkansas shot 4 of 14 from the 3-point line. And we don't shoot that many threes.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird to get outscored at the free or out attempted at the free throw line by that big a margin. Like something is weird about that. But whatever, you can still win this game if you don't go 6 of 11. And so the problem with Jalen Graham plays 25 minutes. He only has 4 points, but he's pivotal, like you said. I mean, he had 9 rebounds. I mean, the thing that one of the things that most of them have been complaining about Jalen Graham early in the season was if he's going to play, we need him to rebound, and he wasn't rebounding well. He had 9 rebounds in 25 minutes. Like he was active, getting rebounds. He had 4 assists. I mean, he had 4 assists, and that's because he was getting to that high post and he was making passes out of it. Jalen Graham played really good. I need you to make some free throws. Like he was 0 of 4.
It's weird.
I need you to make 2 of them. Okay? I need you to make half of them, bro. Like that's what I need.
Yeah, his touch is so soft too. It's amazing that like he doesn't seem like the kind of big man that shouldn't be able to shoot free throws. You know what I mean?
Well, dude, this free throw shooting is crazy. Anthony Black, 1 of 1. Ricky Council, 3 of 3. Devo Davis, 2 of 3. Jalen Graham, 0 of 4. That's all the free throws. How?
Yeah, well, like I said, I mean, it's not necessarily a heartening thing, and I think we've kind of said this ad nauseum, but I think it's true. Like so far, this just hasn't been our year, and our losses. I mean, I'm trying to think. What's our worst loss as far as like differential?
I think it's against
Is it
Alabama, right?
Vanderbilt? Is it or Vanderbilt? How much did we lose by Vanderbilt? They had a huge swing, but but
I mean, Vanderbilt 84-97, so it's 13 to Vanderbilt, 69-84. Yeah, so it was 15 to Alabama. It's the
okay,
worst loss.
so it's hard to imagine winning those 2 games, but dude,
Well,
there is.
how about the other ones? You lose by 3 points to Creighton. You lose by 3 points to LSU. You lose by 13 points to Auburn, 15 points to Alabama, 13 points to Vanderbilt. So that's your bad stretch right there where you had 13, 15, 13. Then you lose by 3 to Missouri. Then you lose by 3 to Baylor. So if you just take away those, okay, we got soundly beaten in those 3 games. The other 1, 2, 3, 4, the other 4 losses are all 3 or less.
Well, that's what I was saying is like, and if you watch those games, I mean, I can't remember the particulars of every one, but I know in almost all of those games we had a lead, and most of those games we had a lead late.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in Missouri we had a 10-point lead with 5 minutes to go, and even last night, it's not even like you're like if they call that charge a block. I mean, if they call that block a charge, that's a 5-point difference. If
Mm-hmm.
Graham makes a free throw here or there, I'm not saying even the structure of the way the last couple of minutes play out, being a 2-point game
I'll give you.
versus a
I'll tell you how you win this
3-point
game.
game.
There's 2. I'll tell you 2 things that are easy changeable that it makes you win this game. Graham shoots 50% from the free throw line, and Musselman doesn't get teed up. There's your 3 points.
Yeah, or I mean, even like more frustratingly is in the final 2 minutes when it was back and forth, it was a tied game and then a 1 point game. Council got his shot that he'd been knocking down all day, and it went da-da-da-da-da, in
Yeah.
and out, like one of those ones that's like it looked beautiful, but it went out. The very next possession, Graham gets a step with a smaller guy on him, and he just has to hiss it into the
Yeah.
basket, and he does, but somehow it's one of those ones that goes off the glass and goes whoop, and like
Yeah.
those two baskets is where they built because like right after that Graham one, they went down and hit a three, which put them up, I think, by four. But if we make either one of those, it's like we were up by one, I
Yeah.
think,
Yeah.
and then they would have scored. It's just, and not that you would even won, but like the fact that you were down by five then with like a minute to go, and we still managed to like have a shot at it. But it just changes the dynamic of that game if those shots go in, and that's the kind of stuff that does change seasons. And in the past,
Yeah.
we've talked about this, like actually fun. I remember distinctly in some of our previous seasons going, dude, like the Arkansas is having a great season. We're winning games. But I was like, we've got to be careful not to get too hyped because if you look at all these games, we're winning them by like 2 to 5 points. And these games with just a bounce going this way or that
Mm-hmm.
way, a call going this way or that way, shot not going in, we could have lost five of these games. You know what I mean? And that is the same thing that's happening this year. We're just on the bad side of it. You know what I mean? It's like it's not been our season. And I mean, it may just not be our season. This may be a bad season where those bounces don't go your way, but it's not, we're not a bad team. Like we're not, what's happening to LSU is not happening to us. Like I feel
No.
bad for LSU. Like they can't score, they can't win a game to save their lives. I mean, I, they lost at
Yeah.
home to, or no, did they go to West Virginia?
Yeah, they were on the road. Yeah.
But I mean, I can't remember how I was watching a little bit of that game and I was just like, man, they just look
Well,
lost. You know
Auburn
what I mean?
Auburn went to West Virginia. LSU played, I don't know who they played. They played somebody else.
Okay, I
Um,
think maybe they were. Dude, I watched so many different games, like parts of them. I was in and out of the house, but I think it was LSU at home. I want to say they were, and they were playing like the team they were playing was like 50, like not didn't have a good record, and
LSU, let's see. Yeah, LSU lost to Texas Tech at home. And Texas Tech was 10-10 going into that game.
that's what I'm saying. Like so,
Yeah.
LSU's kind of fallen apart and kind of realized like, I mean, and I think they've had some injuries and stuff too, but like they're not really that great of a team.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's a version of this season where I mean, without joking, I think if you could probably take 8 plays, and I mean shots, fouls, you know, ball bouncing out of bounds, 8 of those, and it would probably make us a 2 loss team or a 3 loss team. You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean? Where it's like where
I think we have three sort of definitive losses. I think that yeah, I think you could take 8 plays and you could be a 3 loss team and ranked, you know, ninth in the
you're ranked, yeah,
country.
you're right. And like I said, I'm not complaining. I'm not trying to like that's not me like trying to cope or
No,
say
no,
that
the
like
point is
I'm just
that
saying
we got those 8 plays last year, and that's part of the difference. And I think the positive thing is that it means that during a tournament, whether it's the SEC tournament or, you know, the NCAA tournament, what it means is that I actually believe that Arkansas could beat just about anybody. Uh, so it tells you that you're a couple plays away from winning a lot of games, and so like that's something that could happen that like in the stretch, and that is the sort of thing that Musselman does when things radically change. Is like you end up winning some games down the stretch, close games that you weren't winning before, and that kind of thing. It also tells you that is okay. So you need 8 plays. What if I gave you one Nick Smith? Do you need 8 plays then, or do you just
or
have
Brazil.
yeah, or do you just have enough? And I would think that does Nick Smith make a 3 point difference at Baylor? Probably. Does he make a 3 point difference at Creighton? Probably. That's not that much of a swing. Like
Mhm.
that's a that's a small margin that you're talking about. Does Smith and Brazil make that up? Without a doubt. Like, I mean, this is the thing that you got to remember, dude. You give me Nick Smith and Trevor Brazil on this team, and I'm willing to, I guarantee you, like some of those games are different.
Oh yeah, like I mean, just the fact that they like you said, I mean, Anthony Black would have more rest. You just have a lot better subbing options. You'd be able to get guys. I think you'd be able to keep your energy higher because, like I said, you'd be able to give Walsh some breaks more,
You'd have
and you
you know what you saw, you know that guy George on Baylor, you know, so he's the guy that was, you know, number Anthony Black's number one rated point guard coming out of high school, number one shooting guard coming out of high school, and they're going at it, and George tore us up pretty good, and we have good defenders, but that guy's an NBA guy, and you could tell, you know what he was? A dude that can go get his. He's a guy who can go get his
mm,
own shot. That's, I mean, so he's number one shooting guard. Nick Smith is number one combo guard who played point or shooting guard. You don't think having that guy, that's what you're missing in Nick Smith. That guy's just a scorer.
mhm.
And that's what Nick Smith is. Like that's what he can do. Uh that changes a lot of stuff for you because like we have a lot of great basketball players, a lot of talent, a lot of really good pieces, but Council's the best version of that we have. And he was great last night. But Smith is just that dude, you know, and that helps you a lot. You look at Trevon Brazil, he's not that dude, but that dude is a matchup nightmare.
And like I said, yeah, I mean, just another 3-point shooter, which has been a
Well, they're both
problem.
three.
And
You get two, yeah, you inject two 3-point shooters into the lineup with those two guys. You know, Brazil's going to block shots. He's going to get rebounds. He's going to get 3 alley oop dunks a game where he just cuts baseline and yeah. So, but you don't have them right now, and they're still right there in games, and so maybe Nick Smith comes back. Maybe that's what it is. You know, he does come back, and you feel good about maybe making a run because you think he can make up that 3-4 point difference. Could be, or
yeah,
maybe they just figure out how to close games a little bit. But I think Musselman's right. I think you can be proud of the guys. I mean, I think that they're, you know, there's a lot of adversity right there. There's a lot of injuries right there, and they didn't look like they thought they couldn't beat Baylor. They looked like they came into that game and they were like, "We're gonna try and
no,
win this game." And they played hard.
yeah, I think we should have won. I actually thought we played better than they did,
Mm-hmm.
and they just got a few bounces at the end. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that like I really did feel like a couple of shots of theirs went in and a couple of shots of ours rattled in and out literally. But I think if you added up like defensively and everything, like I thought we actually outperformed.
What did you think about the defense? I thought the defense was pretty good.
Yeah, they won making free throws and hitting a couple of threes. Like, and it's like out of the totality of at the game, we performed at a higher level for more of the game. It's just,
Yeah.
like I said, I mean, there's just a differential that's in, like I said, from the free throw line and stuff. I will say with Anthony Black, like I said, I love him. I think he's great. I do, like I said, I think his perseverance, him getting that rebound off that free throw, I love that energy. He is going to have to be put a lot of work into his shot if
Mm-hmm.
he's going to play at the next level. Um, and not just the three, if his 3-pointer is so slow
Yeah.
and so set, like he's never going to get that off consistently in the NBA. Even though I know he's not a 3-point shooter, but still, um, have you ever seen Anthony Black dribble drive and then pull up and make a leaning jump shot, like or even taken
No,
he
he
shoots
gets
a
it. If it's a
he shoots a
floater.
floater. That's not going to work in the NBA. Right now, his body is making it where like he can still score.
Yeah.
That's not going to work in the pros. Like that body's not going to be the same body in the pros, and he's gonna if he's not careful and he doesn't work on his shot, you've got to be able to shoot. I mean, even LeBron, who has 10 times more insane body than Anthony Black, like and actually was a slightly better shooter when he was in coming out of high school. But like he struggled in the NBA at first because people just knew like I'm not going to play your shot because you don't shoot consistently.
Mm-hmm.
And LeBron's shot has always been a little weird. It's not been a beautiful jump shot, but and it's still better than Anthony Black's. Anthony Black is gonna he's gonna end up being something like Ben Simmons if he's not careful.
Yeah.
Because I'm just you've got to be able to shoot at least a little. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
You've got to be able to be a threat to
Well,
drive
it's weird
and
too because
pull up and shoot.
he shoots free throws pretty well.
No, he shoots flat-footed set shots pretty good, but even then, it's a
Yeah.
slow release. Uh, but you got to be able to shoot like a jump shot.
Yeah. Yeah. But he's 19 years old, so I mean
Yeah, he has
he
room
has
to
time.
grow.
Yeah, he
I
has time
mean,
to fix it.
part of me is like just hoping that like maybe he's not ready for the NBA.
Yeah, maybe he should stay. Maybe he gets
Yeah.
that draft thing back, and they say, I don't know, man, maybe one more year and you could be a top 10 pick. And I mean, let me tell you, bro, I would love to have Anthony Black back next year.
Yeah. I mean, I just know if I was an NBA scout, I mean, I'm a fan of the Bulls, obviously. So like if the Bulls drafted him, I would I would be struggling to see how he's going to perform on an NBA court unless he
I think he,
drastically improves his
yeah,
shooting.
you would say, well, yeah, I think he could guard a lot of guys, but I don't know about,
Abs- Just like Ben Simmons. Ben
yeah.
Simmons is a good defender. He's a good passer. He's a good rebounder.
Mhm.
I mean, actually, his body is even crazier than Anthony Black's body. But uh, if guys in the NBA, dude, I mean, watching those games, those guys shoot everybody on the floor
Yeah,
is a knockdown shooter from like 16. I mean, for sure, jump shots inside the paint, but like, and then most guys can shoot threes nowadays.
yeah.
And the quick release that Steph Curry has sort of patented and made everybody follow is like these guys shoot with hands on their
Hmm.
foreheads. You know what I mean? And uh,
Well, you saw some of that from Keontae George, right? Where it was like he took some NBA looking shots that you're like, that's not bad defense. I mean, yeah, you're just gonna make that. All right.
well, it's what makes Council so dangerous. He
Yeah.
has the drive, he has the finish at the hoop, but the reason no one can stay in front of him is because any second he might just pull up and lean back and hit that jump shot. And I feel like you really got to have at least a little bit of that if you're going to really be effective. Like I said, not in college, NBA, or I mean, Anthony Black obviously can be an effective college player. Um, but if I was an NBA scout, I'd be telling him, get a shooting coach and start working on hitting
Yeah.
pull up jump shots. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, all right,
Anyway,
man. I think we can leave it there. Tough loss. This is one of those things, man. You got to flush this if you're them. You got to take what you just got. Yeah, I think you played good. I don't think you have like truckloads of things to learn. I think that you could say, hey, give me that energy at home against Texas A&M. Just say, that's what I think anyway. Is that hey, let's just keep doing that. That was good. That was good enough to win most games. It was good enough to win that game. It just didn't happen. And
yeah.
if we can do that down the stretch, if we're going to play like that down the stretch, I like our chances to win a lot of games.
And I do agree. I mean, everybody, this is just not a news flash, but everybody knows, but the transfer portal stuff has completely flattened the landscape, and uh, it's just not like it used to be, where there's not a team out there that used to, you used to have your holy crap. Have you seen Duke this year? They got five
Mm,
NBA players. Have you seen Kentucky this year? Like now, I mean, when you look at what Oklahoma did to Alabama, Alabama's supposed to be one of those potential like
Supposed to be a
top,
one seed, dude. I mean, right
yeah,
going into that game, they were a one seed.
right. And so a team that we beat spanked them.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It's like uh anybody can beat anybody on when they play well. And it's just there's just good guy. I guarantee you this tournament is going to be wild with there's going to be some small team that no one's ever heard of that has a couple of transfers that
a
were
couple of
six,
senior, couple of seniors, couple of transfers, and they're just going to
yeah, that
run it.
guys that were like Ricky Council that were the sixth man on a Wichita State that went to go be the man on a team. And like I said, I mean, I still think that like I think Tennessee and Kentucky and these teams. I mean, Purdue's pretty good, and like but still anybody can get beat on any night with the way that this thing is just flattened out. Everybody's got good players, and
Yeah,
I think you saw that in what happened yesterday. Like Missouri, you know, I wouldn't think that they would beat the pants off of uh, uh who'd they play? Were
Who
they
did?
and were they at home? Missouri was at home because man, home court advantage, dude, in college is crazy.
Missouri. Yeah, they beat Iowa State, who is ranked 12th in the nation. Now Missouri was home, but they
Yeah,
beat the
so
yeah. But I mean, they beat them by 17.
like I
So
said, yeah. So
yeah.
I think we can. I think we
Oh yeah,
can.
dude. Yeah, you give me that game. You give me that game against Baylor in Bud Walton. We win. I think we win for sure.
I was proud of the fans. Our fans showed
Yeah,
up at that
right.
game. Like, dude, it would annoy me
If I
if,
was home and there people are calling the hogs and it's loud.
especially out of conference, like it would annoy me if Alabama came to our place and they were doing the roll tide even quietly, like a little bit. That would annoy me. But dude, if freaking a Big 12 team comes into Bud Walton and they're doing one of their chants, that would be annoying.
Dude, by the way,
And
we have the most annoying chant, which you
yeah, I
gotta
know.
love. Like there ain't nothing more obnoxious than a bunch of all of a sudden if you're at the free throw line or during a time or Arkansas goes on a run, you have to call timeout and you start hearing ooh, like that's gotta just be the worst.
Yeah, especially because we're so used to it that it's cool, but like other people are like, "Woo pig suey, what the frick is going on here?"
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
That's why it's the best. That's why it's the best fan chant, is because I'm totally willing. I love it, but I know it's obnoxious.
yeah. All right, man. Well, and also, yeah, that you guys have said some really nice things in the comments. Really
Yeah,
appreciate it.
absolutely.
So thanks for listening.
Absolutely. All right, man. I'll see you on Tuesday.
All right, man. See ya.
See ya.